Hello, we're gonna go over owning the Traeger Timberline XL for 1 year now. Just go over the things I like, the things I don't like about it, and just some average Joe's opinion if you're thinking about it, if I think you should get one or not. So again, previously mentioned, had it over a year now. I would say on average I use it 2 to 3 times a week, maybe a little less in the winter. I have used this in the winter though, no problems there, so that was great. Um, a few things that have stood out to me that maybe I, I don't like, some of them I've already mentioned in a previous video. Um, the big two issues I would say that I've had with this are occasionally, I'd say maybe 5 times total since I've had it, so not very often. Um, I've had where I think some ignited ash makes it down into the cleanout system down here, which by the way I love. Um, and then what grease is in there, I think it starts smoking that grease, and it's not a good smell. Um, so just be aware of that, especially if you're cooking at higher temperatures. When you shut it down, uh, just do a check. I usually lift the lid after the shutdown sequence is done, make sure all is good. If you do see a little sliver of smoke coming out of uh, the little grease hole, just take the keg off and do with it what you need to do. I usually just dump a little water in it until that gets extinguished. Um, so there's that. The only other real issue that I can think of that I've had is there was one time where the touchscreen controller was completely unresponsive. You could you could still see the temp moving around and whatnot, and you could dial in a temp, but when you went to click the knob, it wouldn't actually. That's kind of like pressing enter. It wouldn't do it, and none of the buttons on the screen worked. Fortunately, it was still working from my phone, so no big deal. And that's only happened once. Um, of course, I shut it down, every time when I'm done with it, and it was fine after that, and I've never seen it since. So hopefully that was just a weird fluke. Um, yeah, and that's really about the only problems I've found myself to have with this. Um, a reminder that I primarily use this as a smoker. I don't do a lot of high temperature grilling on this. I know there have been some complaints that this takes a while to get up to higher temps. I can't really attest to that because I don't ever use this for that. A lot of times I've got a griddle and I'll use that for that kind of cooking. So I'll take that for what it's worth. Now, things I absolutely love, still to this day, I love how much smoke it makes. Like even if you set it at 275 degrees, it still actually makes smoke, and it's constant smoke. Um, right now I've got it set at 225. It looks like it's actually reading 235, and I'll call that out for people that really want a fine, you know, no fluctuation in a pellet grill. Like, this one might not be for you because I've seen it fluctuate as high as 15 degrees. If I've opened the lid, it's programmed to try to recover quickly, so sometimes it overshoots it by like 25 or 30 degrees, but it works it out within a couple of minutes, so it's no big deal. But yeah, I love how much it smokes. So we're set at 225 right now. I do not have super smoke on, and I don't know if this angle will show it off very well, but this is how it is all day long. It's great. As far as food that comes off of it, I mean, no, this doesn't replace like a stick burner. There's just no way about that. But for a pellet grill, this is pretty darn close. Um, I taste smoky goodness off of this the most out of any pellet grill I've ever had or had food off of. I kind of wonder if maybe Traeger's taken a little bit of what Lone Star Grills has done and allows for more fluctuation, so it smokes more. I also think the fire pot Firepot has a lot more holes in it than the old school Traegers do. So I have to wonder if that comes into play too. But yeah, it smokes all the time, and I love it. I've cooked with it in the winter. I think I had it going during like a 10 to 15 degree Fahrenheit day once, and it was fine. I think the double wall insulation helps. Yeah, I can't say I noticed higher. I mean, I'm sure I did use more pellets than I would be cooking today. It's 70 degrees right now, but it was negligible. So that's good. The space is good. Of course, you could always use more, but I like it. Got 3 racks of ribs that just went on, and the entire bottom shelf is still open. So I do actually like the staggered shelf too. So if you don't want your meat on top dripping on something on the bottom, you've got that as an option. Side light's pretty cool. I mean, it's not perfect at night, but it's something, and I like how it's outside of the grill, so it stays a lot cleaner than those that have the light inside the grill. What else do I like? I absolutely love, I mentioned this before, this works. So this meter block, I own that well before Traeger acquired meter, and I love that, when you use these as a standalone, you have to have the block nearby the probes, otherwise they won't connect. You don't have to worry about that anymore, because it'll connect to the controller right away. Usually you just pick one out, and there you go. You can see it's already turned on. I'm going to say no, because I'm not actually going to be using these today, but you can connect up to 4, which is great. Couple things to note: you can't see in the Traeger app, you can't see the ambient temp that meters do. So you can't see that, and for whatever reason, both the controller and my phone through the Traeger app always show that the batteries on the probes are low. I mean, they aren't, they're always charged. I don't know what's up there. I suppose if you actually buy the Traeger branded ones, you won't have to deal with that. But just a heads up on that, they work fine. Like I've had them in a overnight brisket, almost 20 hours, and they survived. They lasted the whole time, even though the app showed that the battery was low. So no worries there. Still, I love the shelf space. Again, I'm really hoping Traeger will release the induction burner so we can just add it on after the fact, because this is nearly the same controller as the Timberline, and you'll see there is a spot back here that you can plug it in. I know people have been retrofitting some, which I don't know, might be something to consider. And the last thing, I mentioned it earlier, I really love the Cleanout system on this. So you can't really use foil tray liners anymore. I was really worried about that. I'm a little OCD on stuff like that, but honestly, it's fine. Just get yourself a paint scraper, like a plastic paint scraper, and I just use that on the drip tray every once in a while, scoop it down into the keg, and that keg is really easy to take off and empty. You don't have to vacuum this thing nearly as much as older pellet grills. A lot of times I'll just take stuff apart and sweep it into that keg and then empty it. Because I'll be honest, I loathe shop vacuuming these grills. So I'm thankful you have to do it a lot less. What else? I do like also that ash rarely makes it up into the cooking chamber. If you have it on super smoke where the fan's blowing full blast, occasionally it'll come through. On mine, just the very top right corner is the only place I've ever seen it. Yeah, but otherwise, again, it's got I believe a 22-pound hopper. Plenty of room for an overnight cook without issues. If you do use super smoke overnight, I think that tends to use a little more pellets, so just be aware of that. But all in all, I've been super happy with this. I I was not thinking I would get another Traeger. Um, I don't have a beef with Traeger. I'm not a fanboy or anything. My dream grill is a Lone Star's grill for a pellet grill from them. Um, I wasn't prepared to spend that kind of money at the time, so I went with this, and I've been thoroughly happy with it. I've had a couple, I'm trying to think, had an issue with the table right off the bat. Called Traeger, they just sent me a new one. It was all good, no problem. And yeah, so would I recommend you get it? Yeah, it's hard for me to recommend not getting a Traeger with the new style setup with the ash keg, this controller, versus like this is just an older style one. Um, it's hard for me to recommend anybody get one like the older Pro Series versus this. I know these are a lot more money, so I can completely appreciate if this is, this just isn't an option for people. But if you can, I would totally opt for, as far as Traegers are concerned, one that has this new setup. They smoke so much more. I can tell the difference. I don't have to worry about, in the past on pellet grills, I would start meat off cooking really low at a really low temp for a while just to maximize the smoke. You don't really have to do that anymore because this just smokes at whatever temp you set it at. So yeah, in summary, yes, I love it. If you can do it, I personally would. The warranty's decent. I've mentioned before, it's 10-year. They advertise a 10-year warranty, but it's not on every single part of the grill that's 10 years. That's primarily the body. Um, Other parts, are for 1 year. Some parts are for 3 years. And I think there are a few 5-year warranted parts. If you check the manual, it's in there. I can't remember, everything off the top of my head, but um, generally had no troubles with this, and I love it. And I hope this is helpful for y'all. Have a great weekend.